Of course, today we cannot mention it. There was the Champions League draw, the last 16 of the Champions League. This year, there's a precedent. It's only, I think it's the top four leagues, European leagues that we have from Italy, Spain, Germany, and France in the last 16.
Without any,
without any surprises.
Yeah, it might be the first time. Yeah, I mean, the real Champions League starts in February. We're a long time from February because anything can happen in terms of injuries, in terms of how a team is developing entering the second half of the season. But I mean, a first glimpse of this draw, I think that Real Madrid and Manchester City should play a great round, and we'll see how Real Madrid gets to that point. And we'll see
Guardiola coming back to Madrid and
but
rivalry.
Yeah, Guardiola coming back to Madrid without Messi is not the same as Guardiola coming back to Madrid with Messi. I mean, Guardiola's hands as a player are full of losses in this stadium without Messi when he played. And Guardiola's hands after he left Barcelona against Real Madrid is a 5-0. 1-0 here in the semi-finals, first leg in 2014 on the way to La Décima, and then that 4-0 in Munich I think the easiest game Real Madrid has ever played in Munich against a very bad Bayern team.
And do you think there will be even more pressure now on Manchester City, because it seems like the Premier League is getting away from them a little bit, and of course Guardiola now needs to prove that he can win a Champions League. He didn't do it in Bayern Munich. Now in City is his third try.
Yeah, absolutely. I think pressure is growing because of that fact you mentioned, that they are virtually out of the contest in the Premier League, and it happens the same to PSG. Pressure is growing as years goes by in the Champions League, because those teams, those investments, especially in the case of PSG, because the League and it's a minor prize for them. It's not the same in England, of course, but I think that those teams were built to win the Champions League. And the problem is not that they haven't won the Champions League. I agree with Guardiola, for example. It's very difficult to win the Champions League, but there's a middle ground between winning the Champions League and getting knocked out in 3 consecutive years by Monaco, by Liverpool, which wasn't the Liverpool it is right now, and by Tottenham. They need to step up in the Champions League and be a real factor in this competition. It's the same for PSG, because there's a long way until you win the Champions League.
Yeah.
And I mean, they haven't played a real Champions League round, and we'll see if this one against Real Madrid is.
And of course, Real Madrid coming back into the competition with Zidane.
True.
With a lot of confidence. Obviously, it's not the same team. Ronaldo's not here, but you can never write Real Madrid off, right?
They're absolutely.
Always in the battle for it.
Yeah, and I think the first reports of the game of the tie has been very grounded, very quiet. Yeah. Journalists know that they might hate Real Madrid. They might say Real Madrid is shit, as they said when they were about to play PSG a couple of years ago. People were expecting, anti-Madridistas were expecting a 3-0 here for PSG and a 6-0 in Paris, and they beat PSG in both games. I think it's going to be a very balanced game. I think we'll see how those teams are in February, but I think that the biggest problem of Manchester City, and it's been under Guardiola, and it was in Bayern Munich, is how they defend the counter-attack. They are a team that they attack so beautiful. They can create a lot of chances. They have a plan, and they believe in that plan, at least until now. But when they have to run back, they have problems. Monaco killed them that way. Liverpool killed them that way.
And this year in the Premier League, they suffered a lot from the missing Laporte in the middle of the defense.
But injuries are a factor for every team. Real Madrid has been missing Hazard for most part of the season.
Okay, let's go through the rest of them. Obviously, Barcelona playing Napoli, a Napoli that just fired Ancelotti, and Gennaro Gattuso coming in and losing his first game.
Yeah.
Maybe, of course, there's time until February, but if things stand as they do right now, I would say that Barcelona should have enough to beat Napoli.
Yeah,
we all know São Paulo and the atmosphere there.
We know São Paulo, and we know the struggles of Barcelona playing on the road in the Champions League and this year in La Liga. But yeah, the club is a mess, but still they are a talented group. If Gattuso is a leader. I mean, we are yet to know how he is as a coach, because he's starting his career basically. But if he's able to weather this political and institutional storm, they might be a factor against Barcelona. I think that they might decide this in the Camp Nou. I think that they can get a good result in Napoli, but then I think that Barcelona is going to advance because they are more talented, and I think that Napoli at home is a great team. They've beaten Liverpool twice in back-to-back seasons. Okay, in the group stage they were on the verge of knocking Liverpool out in last season stage group. So I think, especially at home,
in Europa League, just to as an argument, they lost to I think Slavia Praga. Or
yeah, they
so
underachieved in Europa League, correct?
Let's see. Another, of course, Madrid team, Atletico Madrid, playing against Liverpool, the holders in the Champions League. They're coming back to the place where they won.
Correct. And I think they are the top favorite, at least at the moment. And I'm sure they are creating new songs. They were chanting all year long, we're going to Madrid. And they finally came to Madrid and they won in Madrid. We won it in Madrid, they usually sing. And I think it's a one-way tire.
Because they seem to be unbeaten in the Premier League, in the Champions League. Oh, all right, they lost to Napoli in the Champions League, but it seems like a different Liverpool to the one we saw even last year in some Premier League games.
In my opinion, the thing is that this Liverpool, they still have more in the tank because they haven't shown their A game, and they only dropped 2 points in the Premier League without, in my opinion, their A game. Why I'm saying this? Because they are conceding more goals and more chances than last season. I'm not worried about that, but because I think that they can step up, they have another year, and I think they are going to prove that they're the best team in Europe. And I think that Atletico Madrid lacks the offensive power to hurt this Liverpool team. I think Liverpool is going to win both.
What do you think of Atleti this year? It's obviously a transitional year where there's a lot of new players incorporating in the team, but I'm hearing a lot of criticism from Atletico fans that are finally starting to turn a little bit against Simeone and against his style. You know, a lot of creative talent in Atletico that doesn't really, as you said, they're struggling to score goals. You know, with players like Joao Felix, with Morata, with Lemar that 2 years ago was making waves in Monaco.
Correct. I mean, there's a question around my mind that sometimes pops up, and is this Simeone's job worth 23 million per season right now? I think Simeone was the best manager in the world between 2013, 2016, 17. I think that Atletico de Madrid peaked under him, and I think that right now he's struggling to develop his next Atletico de Madrid. And we have to, there are a lot of signings that are underperforming. For example, Lemar. Joao Felix is so young. We cannot say he's underperforming. I think he's a work in progress, and you have to trust the process. You can rush things with these young players like Felix, Rodrigo, Vinicius. I say that for Vinicius and Rodrigo. I'm going to say the same for Joao Felix. But I think that Simeone needs to bring something more to the table. Getting knocked out by Liverpool won't be a failure unless they lose big. But I think that Liverpool is going to advance, and I think they are going to have a great result here in the Wanda Metropolitano.
That being said, of course, I don't know if I have to pick a manager to try to play against Klopp. It might be Simeone. I think he's one of those managers that can find a way around his system. But let's see. Anyway, the fourth Spanish team, Valencia, I think with a favorable draw against Atalanta.
At least on paper, it's the most favorable draw. I talked to a fan yesterday after the game in Valencia because we talked during halftime, and there were 3 of them, and one of them said, I want Tottenham, and two of his friends told him, we want Atalanta, so an early Christmas gift for those fans, but still they need to deliver. We're constantly between February and March, and we always talk when we have the draw about injuries, about how the team is going to look in 2 months. But I think that the balance is going to be good for Valencia because they might lose another player, but they are going to recover more players than the players that are going to lose. I hope for them. So I think that they are creating something there. I think that it was a good team under Marcelino. They won the Copa. They won La Copa and they made it to the Champions League. He was sacked because of political things in the club, but it was a team that was growing. It's a solid team with veteran players like Parejo, Carlos Soler, Gaya, the centre half.
I've been really impressed with Ferran Torres as well this season.
He's stepping up.
He's stepping up, and it seems against Real Madrid he had a few chances.
Yeah, he's so talented, and he's playing. He's a new guy. He's very young, but within a mature structure. And I think that Celades is a smart manager. We are knowing him, as I said, with Gattuso, but I think that they believe in themselves and they are building something good in Valencia.
They surprised me, to be honest, with their performance in the Champions League in such a really tough group, really equal
absolutely.
group. They managed to win it in the end against an Ajax team that, if Ajax was in another group, they would have gone to the round of 16 easily. Because, but yeah, let's see what happens with Valencia. Just quickly, Borussia Dortmund against PSG.
PSG in an easy one.
PSG, I think he's gonna go through. Yeah, we have Chelsea against Bayern.
I think Bayern is going to advance in the end, but that's a tricky one. I think that Chelsea is a talented group. They have youth, but they have a lot of talent. Players like Abraham, Mount, Pulisic, they can play, they can score. They, at a certain moments of a game, they can play high-paced football. So I think that they might be a factor against Bayern. But on the other hand, they are so inexperienced. But Bayern is untested every year because they are struggling this year in the Bundesliga. But I want to see Bayern against a great team in Europe. Chelsea isn't a great team, but it's among that group of teams that might be dangerous for a team like Bayern. I think Bayern is going to advance, but I think they might be the dark horse here.
They might pull off a surprise.
Correct.
Lyon against Juventus. For me, I think Lyon have done well to go to this stage, but Juventus are going to sweep up. And to be honest, as a neutral, I want to see Juventus win the Champions League for only one reason. I want to see Buffon end his career on a high. He's like a player of that generation that, I remember from when I was a kid. I want him to win everything. I know he's not going to play, but
I have a lot of respect for Buffon. But
Ronaldo, of course,
Yeah, Ronaldo, it would be a good story. I think that adding another Champions League with a third team would put Ronaldo still in another level. He's one of the greatest of all time, but that milestone would maybe separate him from everybody.
Absolutely. And lastly, Tottenham against RB Leipzig.
I think Tottenham is going through. Yeah. I think that this is the kind of team Mourinho can make very competitive in the Champions League. I can see them winning, but I think they might have a decent run in this Champions League again, and they're the finalists. And they are another mature team. They struggled in the last months of Pochettino. I do not agree with the sacking of Mauricio, but I think they're a good football team. They're still a good football team.
And in the Champions League, of course, Mourinho, if you want a coach that can come out with a plan for you, maybe, or he was the coach
especially in a less talented team. I think
that's true.
Especially in a less talented team, but he needs to recover his mojo back because he had a very bad. His last Champions League, he lost against Sevilla in 2018. So, I still think Mourinho's got it, but he needs to prove it again.
Exciting round of 16. Of course, we have to wait until February and see if we are right or wrong. Thanks again, Iñaki, for coming on.
It's been a pleasure.
Again, I'm going to leave a link to his YouTube channel in the description below. Please make sure you follow him, especially if you're a Madridista.
Correct.
Great analysis. And if you're in the US and South America, make sure you tune in to Bein Sports.
It's been a pleasure, Stan. Anytime you want, anytime we can. I'm happy to join you because it's been a great chat of football, and it helps me with my English development, which is one of the things I work in to make another step in my career in the future. So it's a mutual benefit.
You have a great English. So guys, don't forget to subscribe to Stan Sports, and see you again from Madrid. Bye-bye.
Bye.